Yes, the Uganda Development Initiative, located here in Southern California, has been our partner out in Uganda for the last 10 years. And the big challenge in Uganda is the large number of young people. The fact that in traditional Ugandan society, and indeed in most of sub-Saharan Africa, having many children was your greatest asset because it is an agrarian economy and people need to have a lot of children that will cultivate the land. And you need to have enough boys to bring in the labor. You need to have enough girls who, when they get married, they will bring in bridal wealth. And this is the first generation of people that need to think in terms of modern civilization, where families need to be smaller, but we are not going to be there maybe for another 50 years. We still have one of the highest fertility rates in the rural areas like Kanungu in southwestern Uganda. You have got average 7 children per woman. And so our work is to make sure that we choose the better one of two roads. One road with the young people is to say that's a big challenge. You've got a society where 70% are in school or not yet in school. And if you don't build educational institutions, you have the risk of all of them going into crime, getting married at the age of 14, having 10 children over their lifetime. And Uganda Development Initiative has worked with us in creating Chief Code in Uganda. And Chief Code is the Child and Family Community Development Organization, believing that you start with a child, but to make any real changes, you must work with their families and change the way their community operates. And so I would say today we have got 6 educational institutions that have been built one by one over the last 15, 20 years, and the Uganda Development Initiative has been involved for most of that time. We have created 4 preschool facilities, and every primary school we have has got a nursery school, because if you don't get the children into school early as 3 years old, then they get sucked in by the needs for labor in their families. As soon as children are old enough to carry their little siblings on their backs, then it is time for them to relieve their parents and to start carrying their siblings as they go to fetch their water and to fetch their firewood and to make things work in the home. And so Chief Code and Uganda Development Initiative have been looking at the whole life development process, create enough schools in the communities for children to come into school as early as the age of 3. And we've also built 4 primary schools in what is considered the 4 poorest parts of our region. Our region is not a very old community. 100 years ago, parts of our current community were in the national park. Lions and buffaloes and elephants were roaming the villages. And our parents still tell us stories of how leopards came to visit and to steal domestic animals. And so the community in Kinkiizi has some of the poorest people. You may hear that the poorest people live on less than $1 per day. But $1 per day is $30 a month, and in Uganda that is about 80,000 shillings. And I can assure you that 95% of the people in my village are not getting $1 per day. Many of them never see money because they have never been educated. And Chief Code and UDI are working together to make sure we create a new generation of people, people who have known the best in education from the age of 3. That is why we have followed them on to create primary schools, and to create the Great Lakes High School, where all children coming out of our primary schools can come into the Great Lakes High School, and going on through to create an accredited university-level institution, the Great Lakes Regional College, which has space for about 500 children to be trained as teachers, to be trained as agriculturalists. We have a big carpentry program that trains a lot of young people. We have got a teacher education program, social workers that are employed by all the aid agencies in Uganda. And so we have a lifelong educational process that prepares a generation of people that formerly would have been people looking to become 16 years and marry and build a house and create as many children as possible, into creating a people who will get a skill and a profession and give back to their community as teachers and as doctors. And in doing this, Uganda Development Initiative has been wonderful. One, in providing infrastructure, the buildings and classrooms that have been put up. We have got at least 70 classrooms in all the educational institutions. The dormitories, most of the communities have got very poor families where the children need actually to be brought into the schools to live there. One of the big disasters in sub-Saharan Africa is the large number of orphans that have come to be because of HIV and AIDS and malaria these days, in that you have got about 2 million orphans in the whole country. And that is why it is important to have some boarding schools. And UDI has helped create infrastructure, which has given us a basis for caring for the community. UDI has worked on sponsorship programs, currently with close to 200 sponsored children, which means 10% of all the children in our schools would not be coming were it not for UDI. And the child sponsorship program, at about $250 every year, provides for a child to be educated, to be fed at least once a day, and to get basic first aid when they are in need. And these are the things that make children drop out of school. So UDI helps with sponsorship, UDI helps with enterprise development, creating businesses, buying grinding mills so that poor parents who are able to grow cereals in their homes can actually bring their cereals to school, and we grind them in the machines that UDI has provided over time. And UDI also brings in the skills from the United States, bringing mission groups, people who come in to encourage people to bring professional development to our teachers. Our teachers are trained only for 2 years after high school, and they never get any opportunity for professional development after they start teaching. And so when we get people coming in from the schools and the universities here in Southern California and everywhere in the United States, it is a special opportunity to prepare our teachers better. And UDI has also worked hard to make sure that we have university programs that can provide for the people who are looking for a vocational career. Both those who are going to be carpenters and agriculturists are provided for. But recently, we are looking even more at the science potential of our young people. I don't know why rural kids do science very well. I think it is because they are very, very close to nature. And one of the most recent programs is the Science Education to Enhance Development, SEED, which is being promoted by the Uganda Development Initiative through our network of friends in the Boston area, that we are this year going to build a new laboratory with 6 classrooms that will both take care of the laboratory needs of the people in the community, soil testing, investing crop diseases, but also looking out for these wonderful kids who have got science potential and making sure that they get the opportunity to actually develop their potential to its highest level. Doctors have been born in the most humble backgrounds, great engineers in Uganda, great veterinarians and agriculturists. So UDI, we are working in partnership to make sure that we create opportunity where none existed before, to look out for our kids, rich and poor, across the denominational divide, across the ethnic divide, from the time they are 3 years old until they are all the way through college, up to the point of helping them create businesses. And so the partnership between UDI and Chief Code in Uganda is creating a lot of opportunity. And we must think seriously about how to sustain this. And we can sustain this by creating educational partnerships with universities, by working with communities here in Woodland Hills, in the Boston area, in Northern California, community-to-community partnerships. And it is important that we put this word out and get people to know how much difference it makes to have the partnership in the communities.